So the 2025 Baltimore Ravens rookie draft class is official, and the Baltimore Ravens have done it again. This is why in 6 out of the last 7 seasons, the Baltimore Ravens have been in the playoffs. This is why the Baltimore Ravens, in a relatively short span since coming into the league in the 90s, already have 2 Super Bowl championships. This is why the Baltimore Ravens are consistently competing every single season, is because they know how to build their team through the draft. And guess what, guys? They're not done. They just added a big physical power style running back as an undrafted free agent, a big mammoth 6'6", 355-pound defensive tackle, plus recent draft pick, an absolute steal, an interior defensive tackle pass rusher. Aeneas Peebles sends an absolute message to the NFL. We also got a pick-by-pick breakdown and how each one of these picks affects the overall roster. Let me just tell you, before we dive into it, John Harbaugh said that this roster, before the draft, he said this roster is ready to compete right now. We're ready to strap up and play a game today if we had to. The roster didn't have a lot of holes, but the Ravens just added 11 more injects of talent onto this roster, including a possible star pass rusher in Mike Green and the best safety in this year's draft class. Man, we're going to break all that down and more. So welcome in to another episode of Ravens Reports. It's your guy Noah here with For the Flock. In this episode, we got the post-draft edition, so let's go ahead and dive into the content. At number 1, the first thing I want to talk about is one of my favorite draft picks in this year's class. The first one's probably going to be Mike Green, the value they got out of this pass rusher who could really be the guy that transforms and changes the Ravens pass rush profile, the guy that can really demand double teams and attention to free other guys up, like Odafe Oweh screaming off the edge and Nnamdi Madubuike up the interior. The Ravens have been looking for that guy since Terrell Suggs. They haven't had a guy who you could just pencil in, hey, this guy's probably going to get between 10 and 14 sacks every single year, a number 1 true pass rusher. They've been looking for a while. When Matt Judon started to break out, he went to go to the Patriots. When Darius Smith was breaking out, he went to the Packers. They've been looking for that dominant pass rusher here for a while. But one of my favorite picks in this year's draft was Aeneas Peebles. This guy was picked at 210 overall, but was a top 120 prospect on most consensus boards. If we're being real, he fell down due to size concerns. You know, he is a little bit undersized for an interior defensive lineman, but you're not bringing him in to be a 2-gapping nose tackle. He's going to be a 5-tech, 3-tech, third down sub rusher is what Eric DeCosta said. But this guy as an interior defensive tackle can really pin his ears back and get after the quarterback. He had a 91.2 pass rush grade in 2024, which was the first among all defensive tackles in this class. We're talking about 388 defensive tackles, defensive linemen in college football, and he was the first in pass rush grade. I mean, if that doesn't scream steal to you, just because, he's a little bit undersized, check it out, man. This tweet here says, my database has 388 defensive linemen, only players with better than 12% pressure rate in a sub 540. So this guy ran under 5 seconds on his 40-yard dash. Is Derek Harmon, who went in the first round, TJ Sanders, who went in the second round, and then the 2 other guys is Peebles and Aiden Huntington. So this guy is in rare company as far as his pressure rate and his athleticism. He fell because he's a little bit smaller, but make no mistake about it, this guy will get on the field as an interior pass rusher and has plenty of room to grow and develop. You can see what he put out on X. He said, y'all messed up letting me in the door, NFL. Now I'm going to make it my home. You opened up that door, you let me in, now I'm going to make myself at home and get comfortable. I love the mentality. This guy really does seem like he has that alpha, don't care, I'm going to get after you type of mentality, which is something that could be welcome here in this defense. At number 2, the Baltimore Ravens are adding a massive 220-pound rocked up running back out of Monmouth, signing with the Ravens as an undrafted free agent, had 25 touchdowns on only 109 carries. This guy is a true power back, but also ran a 4.5 and has a ridiculous relative athleticism score ranking. He was just in a small Division II, I believe, college where, he didn't go against the highest level competition, but this guy has the tools and was a red zone machine, could develop into something here and be some depth behind Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, and Rasheen Ali. Could be a practice squad guy, but the reality is if Derrick Henry were to go down or face any type of injury, miss any time, get a stomach flu or anything, you don't really have a physical aspect to the running game. And Sone Natoa, I don't know. I've seen so many different pronunciations, even from the broadcast. Sone Ento, this guy, I'm going to root for him all the way. At number 3, let's roll through these picks and just give a brief overview so you are familiar with these prospects, and we'll kind of talk about how this affects the roster. Our first round pick, Malachi Starks, we did break this down in 2 other videos, but he's the best safety in this year's draft. He's the number 8 overall prospect on PFF's board. The Baltimore Ravens got a steal getting him at pick number 27. We're talking about 6 interceptions in college, 77 tackles alone in 2024, which led his team as a safety. Very impressive. He has also got nickel versatility. He can man guys up in the slot. Very smooth man coverage ability, a natural fluid mover, a playmaker, and a leader that has a lot of cerebral skills and instincts. This is a slam dunk home run pick for the Baltimore Ravens. In the second round, they grabbed Mike Green, the pass rusher, who led the FBS with 17 sacks. He ranked second with 22.5 tackles for loss. He led the team with 3 forced fumbles. He started in all 13 games with 84 tackles and 2 pass breakups. This guy was the number 10th overall prospect on PFF's board. So the Baltimore Ravens get 2 top 10 prospects with their first 2 picks at pick number 27 and 59. It's just not fair. Now, obviously, the reason why Mike Green was there was due to off-the-field character concerns. There was 2 allegations. I've tried my best to research these allegations and find stuff. So here's the reality. I haven't been able to find much. I've seen some hearsay stories from people that say, hey, I had a brother who went to college with him who was a teammate or whatever. All I know is there weren't any charges. He was never in court. There was never any evidence found against him. They were simply allegations to the school. And what I do know for a fact is the Baltimore Ravens are very thorough with their investigations. And what I also know for a fact is John Harbaugh said after our research, we were comfortable. We thought this was fair to bring him in. And I also know that Steve Bisciotti is not playing around. This year, whenever he said, hey, I'm wanting to win now, I want to win a Super Bowl now, I'm tired of waiting. The fact that he gave the green light, even if nothing ever happened, just the simple fact that there were allegations and it does, kind of cast a certain perception or whatever, he still gave the green light. And, usually the Ravens, they don't mess around with these type of smoke, around players. But I will say, simply from a talent perspective, the Baltimore Ravens might have gotten the best pure pass rusher in this year's draft class. The reality is he was more productive than Abdul Carter. Will he be better, have a better career than Abdul Carter? Only time will tell, but I do know that Mike Green has a load of talent. He's physically gifted. He's got a very high ceiling, and I'm excited that the Baltimore Ravens got this pass rusher. This could be the guy that really fixes the Baltimore Ravens pass rush in the long term. At pick number 91, the Baltimore Ravens went with Emry Jones, the big 6'6", 315-pound athletic right tackle out of LSU. It's looking like they're going to possibly put him in at guard and have him compete there, but John Harbaugh said he's also in the mix as a swing tackle. The reality is Emry Jones has started every game at LSU. Freshman, all SEC. In 2023, he was a Joe Moore Award finalist. He's got no injury concerns. He's from LSU, big school, big competition. He's only 21 years old and still has a lot of room to grow and be developed and groomed. But this guy has all the physical tools and traits to possibly be a high-level starting guard on this football team with some tackle swing versatility. Great pick for the Baltimore Ravens building up the trenches, which they added 2 more offensive linemen after this. But at pick number 129, the Baltimore Ravens added a absolutely yoked up, jacked, physical freak, athletic prospect, Teddy Buchanan. 114 tackles. So not only does he have physical traits, he's a physical freak, but he has mad production with 114 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, tied for the team lead with 2 forced fumbles, started all 13 games, 5 sacks. So he can get after the quarterback as well as a blitzer, 4 pass breakups. He has a 9.41 relative athleticism score out of a top score of 10. He's got an elite explosion grade with a 40-inch vertical, a 10.05 broad, can immediately compete with Trenton Simpson for that starting linebacker spot next to Roquan Smith. And he projects well to special teams. Great pick here in the 4th round for the Baltimore Ravens. The next pick we have is Carson Vincent, a true tackle prospect, in my opinion. I think he's going to be grooming behind Ronnie Stanley / backup as a swing tackle. Here's a clip of him locking up Shamar Stewart, who was, by the way, the Baltimore Ravens 5th round pick, locking up the Bengals 1st round pick. Good Senior Bowl performance against some top level talent, because that was a big question mark for him coming out of that small school to Alabama A&M. They don't really have players drafted there very often, but great Senior Bowl performance, held up with the best of them, and he's 6'7", 315 pounds. He's got a nice athleticism score as well. Here's the theme. In the later rounds, the Baltimore Ravens went with athletic upside, guys they can groom, but also guys with production. If that meant they had to target a small school guy, they did. The Ravens have found gems from small schools in the past. At pick 178, the Baltimore Ravens went with cornerback Bilal Conn out of Western Michigan. Another small school guy, but has production. Led the team with 9 pass breakups, started all 13 games with 70 tackles, a tackle for loss, and an interception. He's got size as well, 6'1", 190 pounds, got the long arms that they like. Plus, he ran I think it was a 4.43 for his 40 at the combine. So he got athleticism, and he's a competitor. He actually said that he's been training with Malachi Starks for the past 2 months during this pre-draft process, and that they've been competing and pushing each other during that process. Sam Monson says, "Oh, I love Bilal Conn to Baltimore. I could see him becoming a starting cornerback in the NFL. A lot of things to love about him. Really impressive plays versus Ohio State wide receivers. Top-level competition there. Also looked decent at the Senior Bowl. So the Ravens might have found a steal here in Conn." At pick number 186, it looks like the Baltimore Ravens got their kicker of the future. We'll talk about some of these roster implications, right? The cornerback position, you got Conn and you got longer beam, which we'll talk about to add depth, right? Because right now it's Marlon Humphrey. You have Nate Wiggins, Chidobe Awuzie. Those probably going to be your 3 starters, with Marlon Humphrey more than likely in the slot. Then you got TJ Tampa, a draft pick from last year who's really developed and looked good in practice. Then you also have Jalen Armour-Davis, who's looked good when he's on the field but has had health concerns. Now you got 2 other corners. That puts you at 7 corners, but you at least have some options here. You have some depth here if a guy were to face an injury. With the kicker position here with Tyler Loop, this tells you what's going to happen with Justin Tucker, in my opinion. But this guy, he's got a massive cannon for a leg. He set the school record with a 62-yard field goal. He also has 83.8% of his field goals made during his career, which is pretty good for college kickers. He played in all 12 games, was 23 of 25 on extra points, 18 of 23 for field goals. He was 6 out of 9 on 50-plus yarders. But check this out. In his training videos, man, he had absolutely knocked through a 65-yarder and then hit a 70-yarder as well, if that kind of gives you any indication of his leg strength. And also he had, on 56 kickoffs, 53 of those kickoffs were touchbacks. So this guy's got a cannon of a leg. It's reported that the special teams coaching staff, this was their guy all along, that they really liked him, the guy that they coveted to grab in the later rounds here. So Tyler Loop could be winning the Baltimore Ravens some games here this upcoming season with some clutch long field goals, man. We'll see. But the next pick at 203 was LaJohntay Wester out of Colorado. I was not familiar with this prospect, to be honest with you guys, before the Ravens drafted him. But when I saw the production, 74 catches for 931 yards and 10 touchdowns last season, like, how did I not hear of this guy? 931 yards, 10 touchdowns. I mean, that's a lot of production. Honorable mention in the All Big 12 Conference, played 13 games with 12 starts. But this is the guy the Ravens are bringing in to probably round out their wide receiver room, probably be the number 6 or number 7 guy, depending on how it shakes out. We know we have DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Tylan Wallace is back, and then you have Devontae Walker's number 5, LaJohntay Wester would be number 6, and you got Dayton Wade, who was a practice squad guy last year as well. So, but this guy's really going to compete to be the starting kick returner, punt returner. He's got 2 touchdowns as a punt returner in college, and the Ravens needed a returner. He's a smaller guy, absolutely a smaller guy. He's not going to be a starting X wide receiver. That's not his game, but he's got production when he's been on the field as a nice depth wide receiver who can develop. He's shifty. 10 touchdowns. You don't get 10 touchdowns by accident, 931 yards by accident. And then he's got that upside on special teams as well. So solid pick here for the Ravens. At pick 212, the Baltimore Ravens grabbed cornerback Robert Longerbeam. Smaller corner, that's why he fell, but he's out of Rutgers. He's 5'11", 175 pounds, projects more as a nickelback, a slot corner type of guy. But in 2024, led his team with 11 pass breakups. Very high character guy, a team captain who was really respected, but also tied the team lead with 2 interceptions, played in 12 games, 45 tackles, and 1.5 tackles for loss. I think he ran a 4.39. This guy's got athleticism as well and some upside to develop. At pick number 243, the Baltimore Ravens selected guard out of LSU. So they go to the LSU well twice for the offensive line. He's 6'4", 325 pounds. In 2023, started 13 games at left guard. He was a Joe Moore Award finalist for the nation's top offensive lineman. And then in 2024, he dealt with an injury. All right. He had started 7 games at left guard, but then missed the second half of the season after having a tightrope surgery on a high ankle sprain. So that's why he fell in the draft, due to that injury. Only starting 7 games, but it's got some upside here. Has a lot of experience at left guard. He'll compete there with Andrew Voorhees. He'll also compete with Daniel Falele. So will Emry Jones, who was the 91st overall pick out of LSU. A little bit more athletic upside there, and also has, experience starting at right tackle. So Baltimore Ravens grabbed 3 offensive linemen to shore up the trenches. They grab 1 defensive tackle as a true pass rusher, which I'm really excited about. Mike Green, the safety, a kicker. They get a potential starting linebacker in the 4th round, special team depth there. Great overall draft for the Baltimore Ravens, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. And don't forget to smash the like button. But first, let's talk about a few of these undrafted free agents. The Ravens have agreed to terms with undrafted free agent Jason Jones, formerly of the Auburn Tigers, 6'6", 355 pounds. You're not going to be able to move him too easily. We know that the Baltimore Ravens lost Michael Pierce due to retirement. Could this guy get on the roster as a run-stuffing nose tackle that can eat up blocks, man? I definitely think he's got a chance. Out of these undrafted free agents, this is the guy that might have the biggest chance. We also got Son Nato, who we talked about here. Over the last 2 seasons, only had 165 carries, but he had 39 touchdowns. They used him as a wildcat quarterback down in the red zone. He smashed his way into the end zone, hit 21.5 miles per hour on an 80-yard touchdown run. Also ran a 4.5, but at 220 pounds, that's really impressive. Just was at a very small school that doesn't get a lot of hype. He went undrafted because of that, but this guy has real upside. So now, what's next from here, right? We're going to have rookie minicamp. We're going to have OTAs right around the corner. That's going to be starting for some football activities. The offseason workouts are continuing. Then before you know it, we'll have mandatory minicamp and then training camp. Going into the summer. Can't wait to see these guys out on the field. to see this talent shine and thrive and really transform this team that was already very, very good with not a lot of holes. Very impressed with what the Ravens did in this year's draft. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. And again, smash the like button if you got any value out of today's content. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Let me know your favorite pick. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.
When he wasn't looking, he ran me over.